Emily, I'm not sure exactly what that was, but I hope it wasn't listeners to our podcast telling us how they feel about the show.
No, it was the pigs. The pigs telling us how they feel. And they love our show, Walter.
The pigs.
They're so
Well,
happy we're here at the fair.
welcome to The Catch Up, a podcast from the Daily Catch where we take you inside the news. My name is Walter Mullen, and I'm the publisher of the Daily Catch.
And I'm Emily Sachar at the Dutchess County Fair, the editor of the Daily Catch.
So normally on this podcast, Emily, we talk about news stories that have already appeared in the paper, but today we're doing something a bit different. We're devoting the entire podcast to the Dutchess County Fair, which kicks off today. And as you said, you're actually taping this at the fair.
That's correct. Absolutely. And we should tell our listeners that although the fair opens today, like this is the first day you can go get a funnel cake. Actually, the fair has been building up and getting ready for the last 3 or 4 days. And we've been sending out stories to our readers, telling them all about what's been going on behind the scenes. That's at least as interesting as what goes on between now and Sunday.
Exactly. So just some quick background. This is the 179th Dutchess County Fair. The Dutchess County Fair started in 1846. And while you may think it's the oldest county fair in the country, it's not. The longest running county fair in the U.S. is the 3-county fair in Northampton, Massachusetts, which has been running since 1818. But that being said, 179 years is still a very good run, Emily.
It's amazing. It's amazing. I'm sad to say I've only seen 5 of the years. So lots of history.
And I would venture to say that the things that people liked about the Dutchess County Fair in 1846 are probably very similar to the things people like about it today.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, it's an animal fair. It's an agricultural fair. I think the Ferris wheels have probably changed a lot since then, if there were even rides in those days. But a lot of the food ideas and the camaraderie and the celebration of rural life hasn't changed.
So let's start by painting a picture for people who might not know about the fair. What actually is the Dutchess County Fair?
You know, I've been thinking about that for the last few days, trying to describe for people what it actually is. So, of course, at the most superficial, it's a place to get food you can only get at a county fair. So that's funnel cakes. That's a specific kind of French fry they make here. That's these gigantic jars practically of lemonade. It's the cream puffs that are made specifically for the fairgrounds. So it's a whole food orgy for people who are into this kind of food. And even those of us who aren't normally into this kind of food, you got to love it for a few days. Then you've got the midway where all the rides are. And again, that's just pretty self-explanatory, right? But I think what makes this fair so special is what goes on underneath the many, many stories of the children and the families that come here. They celebrate for this 2-week period. They arrive, they live on the fairgrounds, they bring trailers, they bring some of them, dozens and dozens of animals. And they're here to showcase their animals, to introduce the rest of us to what they do year round. And then the kids, these 4-H kids, as young as 4 and 5 years old, are competing, showing animals 10, 20, 30, 40 times their size. And they've trained them and they walk them around a show ring or they guide them with a show stick if they're pigs. And they've worked so hard. And it's just very touching. I get very choked up, Walter, walking around and seeing these kids and seeing the hope in their eye that this will be the year they'll win best showmanship, or this is the year that the pig that they've raised is going to be large enough to go to market and possibly get sold in the auction on Saturday for enough money to allow them to get another pig next year, right? So that's a whole side piece of this. I mean, it's really the anchor piece of it, the fair and the agriculture. And then the other piece is there are all kinds of shows, really unusual shows. You can see oxen pulling bricks. You can see a little village that they set up called Century Village, which actually is a building that's around year-round. People spinning wool, preparing meals in old-fashioned Victorian-style kitchens. So there's a lot for everybody here, you don't have to just be into the food or just be into the rides or just be into the frisbee dogs that are catching. You can just find something special. And Walter, I've been here, as I said, for 5 years. I still, as much as I feel like I understand this fair now, I'm still learning. Like just this morning, I learned that 35% of the farmers in New York State are women. Where did I learn that? On a placard that was in front of the horticultural building, I should say. Oh, and that's another thing. People grow vegetables. They grow flowers. There are competitions for honey. And you see the light in the eye of these people as they bring their peppers onto the dais to show, and you watch those peppers being judged. And this is people's livelihood and their passion project. And this is something that gives them so much joy. And I love that. I love seeing that.
So let's stop right there, Emily. Let's hear from this year's vegetable grand champion, John Nielsen, who is proud of what he plans and plants and produces over the year.
And sometimes it turns out great, and sometimes it turns out badly. So, I try to grow vertically. I trellis, I use pallets, I make pockets of them. I grew all my beans out of the pallet pockets this year. So whatever space I have, I utilize. I expanded for several years up until like 20 years ago. Then I decided, I don't need any more space. I'll just make do with what I have. But I did imagine that some of the years later that I would still be adding new plants and entering more categories. I had like over 65 entries this year. So I'm still amazed that the judges saw my product.
So tell us a bit more about how the vegetables and flowers are judged. Have you been able to witness that up close?
Well, we had our reporter, Claire Greenberger, attended the vegetable judging yesterday. It took 4 hours, and I would direct people to go read our story on theDailyCatch.org. They can read all about John Nielsen's peppers. He grows some of the hottest peppers known to humankind. So take a look there.
And what are they looking for in the judging? I mean, just broadly, are they looking for the type of, whether it's organic or not organic, or how it's grown, or what are they looking for?
No, they don't taste the vegetables. So I don't know what's in their minds. But they'll say, for example, this one was picked too soon. So they want a certain look to the vegetable, a certain style, a certain sense of meatiness. And beyond that, I direct people out to that story of ours.
But they're not tasting the vegetables and fruits.
They are not.
Interesting. Let's move on and talk a bit more about the kids who participate in 4-H, because one of the things I think is the best part about going is watching these competitions with the cows and the pigs and watching these little kids, not more than 3 or 4 feet, leading these massive animals around the pens.
Yeah, exactly. And that's very interesting too, because you see some farms start their kids very young in 4-H. Like I mentioned, Clover Bud, which is not a competition class. Those are the youngest kids. They're just getting the experience of moving an animal around a show ring. All the way up to, I think you can be 16 or 17 years old now in 4-H. And so kids move along. Something that I think would surprise our listeners, Walter, is you can participate in 4-H without being a member of a farm, without being a farm kid, per se. So yesterday I met and we wrote a story about a girl named Avery, who's been kind of adopted into the Cotter Holstein farm down in Rhinebeck. This gal had been working on the farm, helping Sarah Cotter with her Holsteins and her Guernseys and her Jersey cows. And she asked if she could actually be a showgirl this year. So she adopted a cow that was born, I think, earlier this year, and a heifer. And she began training it with the idea of showing it in the show ring. Now, she doesn't live on the farm, but she goes every day as a volunteer, takes care of Bittersweet. She apparently takes Bittersweet on walks through Rhinebeck. So you can actually see Bittersweet over at Star Library sometimes, I'm told. And she entered and she was there in the show ring this morning at 10 o'clock when the kids were showing animals. Now, on the other hand, so you have that kind of situation, Avery, young, 14, first year in 4-H. And then you have the kids from the Kuhn family, from Hill and Hollow Farm in Red Hook. 5 kids this year, all showing livestock of different kinds. And that's a family farm that's been in existence for 3 generations. And those kids grow up on the farm. They get up every morning at 6 o'clock. They have chores on the farm. They know how to birth a baby pig. They know how to take care of all the cows, milk a cow, clean a cow, brush a cow, shave a cow. And that's what they're doing as part of their lives. So we have lots of different kinds of kids. And I think we should hear from a few of them now. Let's listen to what Avery has to say.
Yeah, last year I helped out an actual 4-H'er that they were working with and saw her show in the show ring, and I was like, I really want to do that in the future. Because you don't have as many connections, you have to gain more experience to get to know people, but once you do, it's a really good community. It's like an excited, nerve-wracking situation. Like, you really want to go out there and do the best you can, but at the same time you know that even if you don't, everyone around you is proud of you. Even like the people that you barely even know, they're all excited for you. And it's just a great way to learn. It's not really about the show ribbons and the things you earn from it. It's about the experience and how it makes you happy in the long run. Working with my heifer, Bittersweet, when she was a baby, she was like petrified of everyone. But now, like, you really have that connection with her. And it's life-changing, honestly.
So I also want to introduce you to Addie Kilmer. Addie Kilmer raises chickens, roaster chickens that will be sold for food. And she also raised this year a pig named Pinky. And she had a disappointing day yesterday, Walter, because Pinky wasn't quite big enough to go into what's called the market auction on Saturday. Her pig needed to be at least 220 pounds, was 6 pounds shy of that weight, and unfortunately then was denied a spot at market. And that's a big deal for Addie Kilmer, because at that show on Saturday, we have generous benefactors bidding huge amounts of money for these animals. And the kids take some of that money and use it to buy an animal for next year. So they're constantly saying hello and goodbye to their animals. And absent the chance to participate in that auction, Addie will now have to find other means with which to purchase a pig for next year. Let's hear from Addie now.
I think the fair means a lot more than just like the rides and the food. I think the agriculture is like a really big part of it. And it's really important that more people join and really just like build the fair more for agriculture, because we always want this in our fair and we don't want to get rid of it.
That was very interesting hearing from Addie directly, Emily. You talked about the bittersweet nature of the process. And in fact, Avery's cow is named Bittersweet. But the kids do have to say hello and goodbye to animals all the time. So it's sort of a circle of life experience.
That's right. That's not true with the cows, because those milking cows will stay on the farm for years and years and years. But it is true for hogs. It is true for roaster chickens. And I'm told that hogs, or pigs, because they're very intelligent, the kids really bond with their pig. They get very close to them. You know, Charlotte's Web is real. And yet these pigs are going to go to market at the end of fair week. So they get very close to them because they're training them. They're learning how to move that pig around. They work with the pig sometimes 2 hours a day, teaching the pig how to follow their lead. And that's very important in the show ring when they're presenting for showmanship. So there are different classes and different kinds of competitions. There's the competition I was alluding to that Addie struggled with yesterday, of getting her pig heavy enough, just a big animal that's supposed to be a heavy, beautiful pig. And the pigs are judged on those qualities. But then there also are entire competitions around ability to manage the animal. So they do say goodbye, and Addie tells us a little bit about what that's like here.
Kind of upsetting when I build a bond with my animals, especially the pigs, not so much the chickens, but it can get upsetting when I send them off to sale. But then I just know next year I get to start all over and get a new pig.
So we've been talking about the kids, but let's transition for a moment and talk about the adults who support the farms and who support the kids. What's in it for them?
Yeah, it was a very interesting moment this week when I talked to Becky Shell, soon to be Becky Shell Kuhn of Hill and Hollow Farm, who told me it's passion, not profit, that drives her life on the farm. Many of these farmers have multiple jobs, right? So her fiance, Pete Kuhn, runs an excavating business. She's an accountant working for the Six Senses company. And she's also raising 5 kids, the kids between her and Pete, her fiance. And it's a big, big job out there on the farm. They do it because they love the animals, they love the way of life, they love the travel, they love the friends, and they really believe that this is a way for their children to grow up learning responsibility, learning care, learning respect for animals, and getting outside their own heads. And it's really amazing to see that. Some also want to introduce animals to the public. For example, we'll hear now from Sarah Cotter, Avery's mentor, who just likes to come to the fair and show her animals off to the public.
It's something that we look forward to doing every year, and
Why?
it's just an opportunity to exhibit what we love to do, and we all have a passion for the same thing here, beautiful dairy cow, and like to inform the public and inform them about dairy and agriculture in general. And I think it's really important that people that never see cows get to experience that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's really special to be able to have someone touch a cow for the first time.
And then some farmers just want to show their way of life to other people. So Lisa Baker, Addie's mom, talks about that, talks about showing off her way of life to other people. They recognize that this is in many ways, an evaporating way of life, a way of life that's quaint to many of us, even though for them it's their way of life. So we'll hear from Lisa. And then Lisa also sees an educational opportunity, and she talks about that here.
Well, I definitely love bringing my kids up here and raising them here. I feel like it's a part of our life. It's our staycation. It's my favorite week of the year. It's actually about 2 weeks for us because we live here for about 2 weeks, and we look forward to it every year. So you can still incorporate agriculture into your life. We live in Rhinebeck, so I think people that don't have the ability to live on a lot of land can still learn to live sustainably, and can still incorporate agriculture and living a sustainable life into their lives without all that land and living as farmers. So that's what I'm trying to teach my kids is you can still do it without the land. So we're doing that. Well, they are going to go out into the world and they can problem solve. They are going to be able to go out into the workforce, and they're very employable. They can hold their own, and they're going to pave their own way out there. So I'm happy to send them out.
That was very interesting. You mentioned the word quaint, Emily. Just to go back to what I said at the top of the show, I believe what drives people to the fair in 2025 is very similar to what drove them in 1846. It's wanting to come together. It's a sense of pride. It's a sense of community. Do you agree?
I do. And I think there's so many kinds of people who come to the fair. I was standing today at the showmanship for cows next to a woman who had no idea what she was watching. She saw the kids. She saw the animals. She said to me, "What are they doing? What are they trying to do out there?" She literally had never been to a county fair in her life. And then you have, of course, the mother right next to her, cheering her child on, saying, "Tighten up a little on that rein." You know, it's just such a range of people. And we do a column in the Daily Catch. It's become a tradition called Faces of the Fair. Walter, I don't know if you remember this, but you suggested that column several years ago. And it's become one of the most popular things we do at the fair. We shine a light on the heroes and the boys, the girls, the men, the women who really bring this fair to all of us. It's a kind of performance for which they're not paid, but you can't see it anywhere else in the world. And it's just very, very special. I get very choked up writing about it and talking about it and wandering around here, just thinking about all the many stories. And there's heartbreak here. Do you remember, Walter, back when we were kids, the ABC Wide World of Sports, and they said the thrill of victory and the agony of defeat? I think you see that here. You see that in the fair. There's a lot of smiling. There's a lot of screaming, including from pigs. But there's also a lot of tender moments and a lot of growth, a lot of hope, a lot of sadness, a lot of exhilaration, and also despair. And it all goes on. It's a real slice of life.
And without getting too romantic about it, there's also a simplicity to the county fair that I think people react to. In this day where we're all tethered to our cell phones and we're all sitting at home streaming shows on Netflix, it's nice to get out. It's nice to walk around. It's nice to be part of a community there.
That's right. And I have to say, it's really nice to eat some of the food.
So speaking of food, we're going to do our Ask Emily, Ask Walter question to wrap up our broadcast. And you're at the fair right now. I'm going to be going tomorrow evening. What is your favorite food or indulgence when you're at the fair, Emily?
That is not even hard, Walter. I am so ready to tell you. I have two favorites, and I'm going to be a little ashamed to explain how I do this. So one is lemonade, but I don't just drink the lemonade they give me. I make them add more lemon juice. So I like it with very little sugar and lots of lemons. And I just throw them an extra couple dollars and they make me a lemonade that's very tart. I never drink it anywhere else because I don't have the time to make lemonade at home. Just amazing. My other thing, do I get two?
You get two.
Okay. So my other favorite item is French fries. Now, Walter, a small little dish of French fries here is about $7. They all pretty much charge the same. That's an insane amount of money, but these are not like any other French fries you'll have anywhere else. They're thick. They're the way they cook them. They're all like this. Doesn't matter. All of the different booths make these amazing fresh cut French fries. That's my two. You tell us yours now, Walter.
Okay, my two. My first is also the lemonade. I love the lemonade there. And there's something fun about watching them make it in the big cup. It's very visual. And then my other one is I love the...
Shake it, right? Don't you love how they shake it?
I love how they shake it. I love how they shake it. And then my second favorite food item is the prime rib steak sandwiches you get from some of the vendors as well.
Oh, wow. What do those
But
cost?
this probably around $9 or $10, I guess. So,
Not bad.
but tomorrow night when I go, we're going to be having dinner at Foster's at the Fair. And Foster's at the Fair, you should all know, is sponsoring our fair coverage. So I'll be going there and supporting Foster's at the Fair.
Awesome. This was a lot of fun. And I'm sad, Walter, as much as I love our podcast, I'm really sad we don't get to do it at the fairgrounds every week or at least twice a year. Maybe we'll come back for sheep and wool in the fall.
Exactly. This concludes this episode of The Catch Up. We hope you enjoyed listening. If you like our broadcast, please be sure to subscribe or follow on your favorite platform so you'll be notified every time we drop a new episode. Thank you to Matty Rosenberg and Jen Hammoud at Radio Free Rhinecilff for their help producing today's episode. And thank you to Esther Martell for her help with editing. Emily, it's always a pleasure catching up, and go out and have more fun at the fair.
Thanks, Walter. See you soon.